Amma was the kind of lady everybody admired, not just because she was beautiful, but because she carried herself with a certain pride. She had just completed university and started working at a small finance company in Accra. To her, life was just beginning, and she had big dreams. But one thing about Amma was clear. She didn't want to suffer in life. She had seen her mother struggle, wake up at dawn, sell in the market, come home tired, only to still cook and take care of the house. Amma made a promise to herself long ago. I will not marry a poor man. That was how Kofi entered her life. Kofi was not a stranger. They grew up in the same area. He was calm, respectful, and very hardworking. After SHS, he didn't get the chance to go to university immediately. Life was not easy for his family, so he started doing small jobs, helping at a mechanic shop, running errands, saving little by little. But Kofi had something many people didn't notice: vision. He used to tell Amma, "Just give me time. I may not have money now, but I know where I'm going." Amma would smile, but deep down, she didn't believe him. One evening, after Amma returned from work, she met Kofi waiting by the roadside. "Amma," he called gently. She stopped. "Kofi, what is it?" He looked nervous, rubbing his hands together. "I've been meaning to talk to you for some time." Amma already knew where the conversation was going. "I like you," Kofi continued. "Not just today. It's been long. I want to build something with you. I may not have everything now, but I promise I will work hard. I won't let you suffer." Amma sighed slightly. She respected Kofi, but she couldn't imagine herself struggling again. "Kofi," she said calmly, "you're a good person, but let's be honest, love alone is not enough." Kofi's face changed a bit, but he stayed quiet. "I've seen poverty before," Amma continued. "I don't want that life again. I want stability. I want comfort. I don't want to marry someone who is still trying to figure life out." Kofi swallowed hard. "So you're saying no?" Amma nodded slowly. "I'm sorry." There was silence for a few seconds. Then Kofi forced a small smile. "It's okay," he said. "I understand." But he didn't. That evening, Kofi walked home slowly. Every step felt heavy, but something inside him refused to break. Instead, it hardened. "All right," he told himself. "I will prove it, not for her, but for myself." From that moment, Kofi changed. He stopped hanging around unnecessarily. He focused on work. He learned everything he could at the mechanic shop. Within a year, he had saved enough to start something small, buying and selling spare parts. It wasn't easy. Sometimes he lost money. Sometimes business was slow. But Kofi didn't give up. Meanwhile, Amma's life was moving in a different direction. At her office, she met a man named Richard. He was everything she thought she wanted. Well-dressed, drove a nice car, spoke good English, and worked in a big company. Richard knew how to impress. He took Amma to expensive restaurants, bought her gifts, and spoke about traveling abroad. Her friends were impressed. "Amma, you've made it all," one of them said. "This one, you won't suffer at all." Amma smiled proudly. This was exactly the kind of life she wanted. Within a year, Richard proposed. Without hesitation, Amma said yes. Their wedding was beautiful. Big hall, nice decoration, everything on point. People talked about it for weeks. Even Kofi heard about it. He didn't attend, but when he saw the pictures online, he just nodded quietly. "Good for her," he whispered. Years passed. 3 years into the marriage, things started changing. Richard was not who Amma thought he was. At first, it was small things. He would come home late without explanation. Sometimes he would be distant. Then the argument started.
"Amma, you talk too much," he would say. "You don't respect me," Amma would reply. Slowly, the truth began to show. Richard had debts, serious ones. The flashy lifestyle was not as solid as it looked. Some of the things he used to impress Amma were borrowed or financed. Then came the biggest shock. One day, Amma saw messages on his phone. Another woman. When she confronted him, Richard didn't even deny it. "Please, don't stress me," he said. "I'm already dealing with enough." Amma felt her world collapsing. Is this the man I chose? She asked herself. The marriage became a burden. No peace, no trust, no real love. Meanwhile, Kofi's story was going in a completely different direction. His small spare parts business had grown. He expanded, opened a proper shop, then another one. Later, he started importing parts himself. People began to respect him. "Kofi is doing well, oh," they would say. He was no longer the poor boy everyone overlooked. He bought land, built a house, even helped his family. But one thing remained. He was still single. Not because he didn't have options, but because he had become more careful. One afternoon, fate brought them face to face again. Amma had gone to buy something, and as she stepped out of a shop, she saw a familiar face. "Kofi?" Kofi turned. For a moment, they both froze. "Amma," he said softly. They hadn't seen each other in years. You've changed," Amma said, surprised. Kofi smiled slightly. "Life." She looked at him again. He looked confident, well-dressed, calm, not the struggling young man she once rejected. "I've heard about you. You are doing well." "By God's grace," he replied. There was an awkward silence. Amma hesitated, then spoke. "Kofi, can we talk sometime?" Kofi paused, then nodded. "Okay." They met a few days later at a quiet place. Amma didn't waste time. "I made a mistake," she said. Kofi looked at her but didn't interrupt. "I thought I knew what I wanted. I thought money was everything. I didn't see your potential. I didn't see your heart." Her voice shook slightly. "My marriage, it's not what I expected." Kofi remained calm. "I'm sorry to hear that." Amma took a deep breath. "If I could go back, I would choose differently." That sentence hung heavily in the air. Kofi leaned back and looked at her carefully. "Amma," he said gently, "life doesn't move backwards." She looked down. "I waited for you, you know," Kofi continued. "Not forever, but for some time. I believed maybe you would see me differently one day." Amma's eyes filled with tears. "But I also learned something," he added. "You can't force someone to believe in you. They have to see it themselves." Silence again. "So, there's no chance?" Amma asked quietly. Kofi smiled, but it wasn't the same smile from years ago. "You rejected me because I was poor," he said. "You rejected the journey. And now, I've already walked it." Amma couldn't speak. "I've changed," Kofi continued. "And I've learned to value people who stand with me, not those who wait at the finish line." Amma nodded slowly, tears rolling down her face. "I understand," she whispered. They sat there for a while, but the connection was no longer the same. When they finally stood up to leave, Kofi said, "I truly wish you well, Amma." She forced a smile. "You too." As Amma walked away, her heart felt heavier than ever. Not because Kofi had rejected her, but because she now understood what she had lost. A man who had nothing, but was willing to build everything. And this time, there was no going back.